Let's start.
Okay. Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedamscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tam Hadevam Atma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha, Gurave Sarvalokanam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam, Nidhaye Sarvavidyanam, Sri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Okay. Okay, so do we go straight to Vivek Chudamani or does anyone have any points to talk about?
Nothing from my side.
Okay. Right? Okay. So I presume if you have a question, you will stop me and interrupt. With that, I think we can go to the text. Can you see my screen? Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay. So we stopped at 281 last time. Srutya yuktya svanubhutya nyatva sarvatmyamatmanah kvachid abhasatah prapta swadhyasapanayam kuru. So we now go to 282. Okay, so there is a second reading, Annadana Visarga. We will use that reading. This Anadana Visargabhyam is, yeah, it is not wrong, but there is a better meaning with the Annadana. So we'll go with Annadana Visargabhyam. Yeah, Annadana Visargabhyam.
Annadana Visargabhyam
Ishat
Ishate
Nasti Kriya Munehe.
Nasti Kriyamunehe
Tadeka
Tadeka
Nityam
Nityam
Swadhyasa Apanayam Kuru.
Swadhyasa Apanayam Kuru.
Annadana Visargabhyam Ishannasti Kriyamunehe Tadeka Nishtaya Nityam Swadhyasa Apanayam Kuru. Okay, so this sloka is also addressed to the sannyasis. So if somebody wants to understand this sloka totally and go live by that sloka, it is possible only for sannyasis, not for normal people like us. So what is the meaning? So Anna Adana Visarga. So Anna Adana is eating food. Annam is food. Annam Adanam is to eat food. Visarga is to cleanse your, to expel your bowels. Eating, digestion, exit. So this is just a representation of all the bare minimum functions that one has to perform to keep the body alive. Okay, so the minimum one has to do is to survive in this body. So he has to eat food at least once a day, if possible twice a day, and maintain the body with a certain minimum cleanliness. Take a bath once or twice a day depending on the climate. Wear some clean clothes and keep yourself in a presentable condition. That is a bare minimum one should do to make this body presentable. And for a sannyasi, these are not considered karma. Okay, and even for us it is not considered karma, but a sannyasi is supposed to have given up all the karma. So somebody might ask, okay, the sannyasi should have given up all karma, why is he eating food? Okay, so to clarify that, Acharya is saying, really speaking, those bare minimum in Bhagavad Gita there is a word Sharira Yatra. I think this word is used in the 3rd chapter, if I'm right.
Yeah.
Sharira Yatra Pichatena Prasidhyeta Karmana. Okay. So that Sharira Yatra, basically it is the 8th shloka. 3rd chapter, 8th shloka. Niyatam Kuru Karmatvam Karmajyayo Yakarmana Sharira Yatra Pichatena Prasidhyeta Karmana. Okay, that Sharira Yatra means what? Yatra means travel. Sharira Yatra means this body is going through this travel called life. And to make this travel possible, there are some minimum things that one has to do. That is, like I said, eating and sleeping, taking care of the body, and having some decent clothes and all that. So for a sannyasi, those are not called karma, they are survival. Okay, so don't worry about karma following you because of all these things. Those are not really karma, and you have to do it. Okay. Nasti Ishan Nasti Kriya Mune. Ishat means not even a little bit. Ishat means even a small iota. Na Asti Kriya Mune. It is not a karma. It is a mandatory thing. Munehe for jnanis, here sannyasis. Okay. So, tad ekanishtaya nityam. So, with this kind of, shall we say, this kind of an assumption or this kind of an approach, ekanishtaya, with a focused mind, with a fully devoted one-pointedness. Okay, nityam means regularly. And of course, for a sannyasi, nityam will also mean from morning to evening, every day. Because sannyasi really has no other work. Unless the sannyasi happens to be some mathadipati, where he is in charge of an institution, or he is a sannyasi who is, teaching some students the Vedantic texts and all that, then that's a different story. So in that case, the mathadipati will have some duties. He is an administrator of the matam, so he has to make sure that the matam is doing well. If he is a teacher teaching some students, then the students have to be taught properly. So we are assuming the sannyasi is nothing, has no other commitments. So such a sannyasi, his only job is to, from morning to evening, focus on nididhyasanam. Tadeka nishtaya nityam swadhyasa apanayam kuru. And the assumption here is this jnani, this sannyasi is also a jnani. Because we are in the nididhyasanam portion, and nididhyasanam is applicable only for someone who has gone through shravanam and mananam. So if you have gone through shravanam and mananam and you have come to nididhyasanam, then you are automatically a jnani. You are supposed to know that aham brahmasmi and all those mahavakyams. The significance of the Vedantic teaching one should have understood. So swadhyasa apanayam kuru. Try to work on reducing your false identification with your body-mind complex. That is swadhyasa apanayam kuru. Okay, that was 282. Any questions? Anyone? Yes, somebody raised their hand.
Yes,
Please.
Guru here. So you said this is for sannyasis, or once anyone has reached that stage. Is it also like a North Star for us, for any normal person also?
So, what was the question? I'm not very clear what you asked.
See, you mentioned in this shloka that it is particularly meant for sannyasis who are not necessarily mathadipatis or anyone with other responsibilities. Okay, so irrespective of what they are doing, their main duty is to focus on nididhyasanam. But is it also a target for everyone in even our daily life to focus on this?
You said target. Okay, yeah, that is an ideal. See, what it means is, unlike a sannyasi, you have other worldly responsibilities. So try to make some time out of your busy schedule. Like I said in some of the previous shlokas, you have to reduce your unnecessary activities. We saw in one shloka, some 5-6 shlokas before, lokanuvartanam, dehanuvardanam, shastranuvartanam and all that. You remember?
Yes.
Yeah, so where is that? Lokanuvartanam tyaktva, 270. Okay, so there what we said is you try to minimize your needs, minimize your wants, and I think last week only I said you make all your so-called necessities into luxuries
Okay.
and reduce your necessities, and that is something each person has to decide for themselves. No, I cannot decide for somebody else and somebody else cannot decide for me. So depending on my circumstance, depending on your circumstance, you decide what is it that you can give up at least partially.
Okay.
Yeah?
Hmm.
And then try to consciously make some time, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, depending on what you do. And it doesn't have to be 30 minutes in one sitting. It could be 5 minutes in the morning, another 10 minutes in the evening. So whenever you get some time, you spend some time thinking about this Vedantic teaching and try to I know some people who, even during the activity, when they get 5 minutes of break from somewhere, they try to involve in these kind of thoughts, some
Okay.
japam or some dhyanam meditation or whatever. Some people take power nap, so like a power nap, you can do a power meditation for 5 minutes. That's also possible.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Understood.
right. Okay, so is that okay? Can we go to 283? 283. Okay,
Yes,
right.
sir.
What is 283? Tattvamasi. Yeah, please repeat. Tattvamasi
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 Adi
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 Vakyotha
Vakyotha
Vakyothat
Brahmatmaikatva
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 Bodhatah.
Bodhata.
Bodhata.
Actually, that full line is one word. It's a compound word. Tattvamasyadi Vakyotha Brahmatmaikatva Bodhatah. That's one word. Okay. So, Brahmanyatmatva
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 Dadhyaya.
Tadhyaya
Dadhyaya
Even that is one word. Brahmanyatmatva Dadhyaya is one
Brahmanyatmatva
word. Yeah. Brahmanyatmatva Dadhyaya
Brahmanyatmadhyaya
Tadhyaya
Swadhyasapanayam Kuru.
Swadhyasapanyam
Swadhyaasapanayam
Kuru.
Okay. Tattvamasyadi Vakyotha Brahmatmaikatva Bodhatah Brahmanyatmatva Dadhyaya Swadhyasapanayam Kuru. Okay, so Tattvamasi Adi Vakya. So that is a reference to the Mahavakyam that I was talking about. Okay, does anyone remember the definition of Mahavakyam? I think I mentioned this
Yes.
two weeks back. Who wants to?
All those
Aham
brahmasmi.
Brahmasmi.
Yeah, it is not just Aham Brahmasmi. So in more broad
It is
terms,
Tattvamasi.
yeah, I mean, those
Yes,
are all
yes.
real Mahavakyams. What I
Yeah.
mean is, I want you to kind of give an abstract version. So what I said was, any statement in the Upanishad that teaches the oneness of Jivatma and Paramatma is called Mahavakyam.
Hmm.
Yeah. So there are many Mahavakyams. No, Tattvamasi is one such Mahavakyam. Aham Brahmasmi is another such Mahavakyam. In Mandukya Upanishad, the Mahavakyam is Ayam Atma Brahma. Ayam Atma Brahma is Mahavakyam in Mandukya Upanishad. In the what is that? Aitareya Upanishad from Rigveda, the Mahavakyam is Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam Brahma. That is Mahavakyam from Aitareya Upanishad. And in the Sandhya Vandana Mantram, those of you who are familiar with Sandhya Vandanam, Asavadityo Brahma, there is a mantram that comes there. Asavadityo Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi Brahmaivatyam. So the Asavadityo Brahma is part of a Mahavakyam. Okay, so there are numerous such Mahavakyams. So this Aham, what is that? Tattvamasi, Adi. That Adi means etc. Etc. means all such Mahavakyams. Vakyotha. Vakyotha means arising out of, or the bodhataha, the last word bodhataha, bodha means knowledge. The word bodha sometimes is used in the sense of awakening, but in Vedanta, awakening and knowledge are more or less synonymous. Yeah. So we use the word bodha to indicate knowledge, and we use the word bodha for awakening also. So this Brahma Atmaikatva Bodhataha means the knowledge that tells you that Brahma and Atma are one and the same. Atma Ekatvam. You know, the previous 281, we saw one word, Sarvatmyam. No? Sarvatmyam is here, Brahmatmaikatvam. So these are all the same ideas given in different words. So I said Sarvatmyam means, I quoted on Bhagavad Gita mantra, Sarvabhutastham Atmanam, Sarvabhutani Chatmani. So you appreciate the fact that what appears to be this world is actually resting in you, and you, the real you, the Chaitanyam, pervades this whole creation. So really speaking, the world and you are not different. That is Sarvatmyam. And that is here Brahmatmaikatvam. Okay, so this whole first line talks about the knowledge that one acquires from the study of Upanishads, and especially from the teachings of the Mahavakyam. Okay, that is the first line. Brahmanyatmatva dardhyaya. So that Brahmatmaikatva bodha is again repeated in the form of Brahmanyatmatva atmatvam. Brahmani means in Brahman. And in Brahman means not physically in Brahman, but about, about everything that is connected with Brahman, Atmatva Dardhyaya. That Brahmanya Atmatvam is again the same as Sarvatmyam. So the same idea, you have to learn to connect the same idea with different semantics that you come across in different parts of the shloka or the work. And that is how the knowledge also gets reinforced. So when I say Sarvatmyam, or when I say Sarvabhutastham Atmanam, or when I say Brahmatmaikatvam, or when I say Brahmanyatmatvam, so whenever you hear the word Brahman and Atma in one word or one compound word, immediately that should trigger in you the idea that here is a Mahavakyam. Here is the non-dual teaching coming, Advaita teaching coming. Okay, and Dardhyam means to strengthen. Dardhyam is to strengthen. So Brahmanyatmatva Dardhyaya. So that means this knowledge that Brahman and I are not different initially may just appear to be some kind of a strange idea. Somebody said something like that. I'm not convinced about it, but somebody told me that Brahman and Atma are the same. So that distance between you and the knowledge would be there initially. Slowly you have to acquire that closer and closer to your thought process. And at some point, even if somebody even wakes you up in the night and asks you, you should be able to say Brahmatmaika Bhavam or something like that. So that is the level of internalization that one should work towards, and that is part of Nididhyasanam. Through that process, Swadhyasa Apanayam Kuru. So drop all your false identification with your body-mind complex. Okay, so I don't know, I was probably very fast in going through the meaning. If there is some element of doubt, non-clarity, let me know. So if I have to specifically explain this or that point, I'll do it. Is that okay? 283 is clear?
Okay, sir. It's okay, sir.
Okay, great. So 283 we are done. We'll go to 284. Aham bhavasya
Aham
bhavasya
bhavasya
dehesmin
dehesmin
nishesha vilayavadhi
Nishesha
Vilayavadhi
Vilayavadhi
savadhanena
Savadhanena
Dhanena
Yuktatma
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 Swadhyasapanayam Kuru.
Swadhyasapanayam
Swadhyaasapanayam
Kuru.
Kuru.
Okay, so aham bhavasya dehesmin nishesha vilayavadhi savadhanena yuktatma swadhyasapanayam Kuru. So dehe, asmin dehe, in this body. Deha is body, asmin is this body, asmin dehe, in this body. Aham bhavasya. Aham bhavam means the self identification. The identification of yourself with your body is here called aham bhavaha. Okay. And for some people, it may not be the physical body, but it could be with the bank balance, it could be with the property, it could be with other, possessions, it could be with one's educational degree or one's scholarship. So, different people have different types of identifications, So, who are you? When you ask that question, people will answer from 100 different angles, and all of them are their identification about themselves. And in Vedanta, especially in Advaita Vedanta, any qualification that you give to yourself is actually a disqualification. Okay, so in Vedanta, you should actually say, I am, and put a full stop. Anything else that you say after I am is like an insult to yourself, because really speaking, your true nature is Chaitanyam, consciousness. And that consciousness is not at all in any way really connected to your body or mind or anything else in this world. It's like the dream. When you are dreaming, you may meet some friends in the dream and have a good time, for a few minutes, or what in the dream appears to be a few hours. But you, the waker, who is now in dream state, really has no real physical connection to the personalities in the dream. So it is exactly like that. The next shloka is going to highlight that point. I'm jumping the gun probably. So this self-identification with the body, vilayam means to reduce, to diminish. Vilayam really means to dissolve or to destroy. Okay, but you cannot completely destroy it, so it has to be minimized to the level possible. Okay, so nishesha vilayam means complete, without even a remnant, even an iota of remnant. That is nishesham. Sesham means reminder. Remainder. Reminder. Yeah. Nishesham means without any remnant. Okay. So aham bhavasya dehesmin nishesha vilayavadhi. So the word avadhi actually means a measure of time. A measure of time. So what the first line means is, until such time your identification with your body mind complex is reduced substantially, it is weakened substantially, until such time savadhanena yuktatma. Savadhanena means very cautiously, very attentively, with a lot of focus. Yuktatma here means with all your faculties harmonized and integrated. The word yuktam is used in many senses. In one context, we say yukti means logic. Okay, that's not the meaning here. Here, the word yuktam means your body, your intellect, your energy, everything is harmonized, and with a one pointedness, you pursue a certain activity. In that state, you are called a yuktatma, with total concentration, with no distraction any whatsoever. So that savadhanena and yuktatma, they go together with total focus and attention, with total harmony of all your sense organs and mind. You pursue this nididhyasanam, which will reduce your false self-identification. Swadhyasapanayam kuru. That is 284. Okay. Anyone? Comments? No one? Then we'll move on. We'll move on to 285. Is it 285? Yeah. Pratitir jiva jagataha. Sorry, jagatoho. Pratitir jiva jagatoho.
Pratitir jiva
Jiva
jagatoho
Jagatoho
Swapnavat bhati
Swapnavat bhati
yavata.
Yavata
Tavat
Tavat
nirantaram
Nirantaram
vidwan
Vidvan
swadhyasapanayam kuru.
Swapalayam Kuru.
Yeah. So pratitir jiva jagatoho swapnavad bhati yavata tavan nirantaram vidwan swadhyasapanayam kuru. Okay, so pratiti means the appearance. Pratiti means the appearance. What is appearance of what? Jiva and jagatoho. Jiva means the individual jivas. Jivas means individual living beings. It could be a man, a woman, animal, plant, insect. They're all jivas. Okay. And jagat normally refers to the what we call the inanimate world. You know, you have a car, you have a building, you know, you have so many gadgets around you which are, you know, made of matter. They are all jagat. Okay. So jiva jagatoho pratitihi. That means the appearance of the world along with the jivas, or the perception of the world along with the jivas. That is the pratitihi jiva jagatoho. Then swapnavad bhati. So the word bhati is also perception, appearance. So the word pratiti and bhati are basically the same. Pratiti is a noun and bhati is a verb. That's the only difference. Okay. So swapnavat means as though a dream. The word vat is very often used as a comparison, as though. Yeah. So swapnavat means as if a dream, as though a dream. So that means what? You are actually perceiving this world. For a normal person, this world is real. Yeah, for a normal person, this world is real. It exists. You know, it is something that is there. But the jnani, actually, even though he perceives the world, he understands that it is something like a dream. Okay, I'll tell you why. Now, we have to now see a parallel between our perception of the real world and our perception of a dream world. So here in this, you know, this is a very important teaching of Advaita Vedanta. Only by understanding this subtlety, one can really fully understand the Advaita Vedanta's main teaching. You know, so what we say is, when you are in the dream, okay, now imagine for a moment that you are in a dream. Okay, while you are in the dream and while you are dreaming, whatever you perceive and experience is reality for you at that moment. You know, at that moment, you really cannot say whether you are in dream or in the real world. I mean, is there any disagreement on that? Does anyone have a different view?
No.
Yeah, I think that's quite obvious, right? So if you are in the dream, at the time of dreaming, that appearance of the dream world and the dream people and the dream objects is so real to you. But then the moment you wake up from the sleep, you realize all that was just a dream. There was no reality attached to it. Yeah, so that is the dream experience. Now, what Vedanta says is, this real world that you are seeing, the so-called real world that you experience, is just another higher dream. It is not very different in nature from the dream that you have while you are sleeping. This is also a dream at a higher level. And when you become a jnani, what happens is you become the higher waker. Just like the dream world brings you to a higher reality called the waker, after you wake up from the sleep, this so-called transactional world is treated like a dream or becomes almost like a dream when you acquire the jnanam and become the super waker called the Chaitanyam. Okay, and the difference between this dream and the other dream is, in the dream that you get while you sleep, the moment you wake up, the dream is gone. Once you wake up from the sleep, there is no dream anymore. You cannot experience a dream thereafter. Whereas in this real world dream, even though you become a jnani and become a super waker, you will continue to experience the dream. That's the only difference. Okay, is this too complicated?
Sir, when you will continue to, oh, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, one of you can talk, no problem. So, Subhashini ma'am, go ahead.
You will continue to experience the dream, but you won't, in a way that you won't involve. Do you mean like that, sir?
No. I'm not talking about involvement. Okay, involvement is a different story. Okay, so there are a lot of stories in lot of Puranas and lot of other texts like what is it called, Yoga Vasishtam and all that, which talks about this dilemma. Okay, I'll give you a couple of stories, then you will understand. But what is the meaning here is, you will imagine in the sleep dream, imagine in the sleep dream, some dream guru comes and tells you that this is a dream. Okay, and then in the dream you become a dream jnani, knowing that this is a dream.
Okay.
You don't wake up physically, but you continue in the dream knowing that it is a dream. Imagine, it will never happen, but I'm just asking you to do a kind of a mind exercise. Okay, now, so in the dream, you are dreaming with the knowledge that it is a dream.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, if now you transpose that whole thing to the waking world, you go
knowing
through the
that it
waking
is
world.
Okay.
You go through the waking world with the full knowledge that this is like a dream.
Okay, understood, sir.
Yeah, so that is what it means. Okay, and the point is, yeah, 1 second, Mr. Gurudat, I'll complete this sentence and then you can talk.
Sure,
yeah?
sure.
So the point is, you should know the correct definition of mithya. So mithya is anything that has a dependent existence. That is one definition. Okay, and mithya is something that is subject to space and time. These are the two definitions you should always remember about mithya. Mithya does not mean non-existent. A lot of people misinterpret the word mithya to be non-existence. No, mithya is not asat. Mithya is not non-existence. Mithya is something that has a dependent existence, or something which does not have an independent existence of its own. That is one definition. Anything that is subject to space and time limitations is mithya. Okay, so
can we
also say this,
sorry, I mean, can we also relate the other point that it can transfer from one to the other, but it cannot completely go on, that point also to mithya? Like it will I mean, it won't, it's not, mithya is like one will be in the form of the other, but it won't go completely away.
That is an experience of mithya. So that's the example we give about rope snake and all that. Okay. So in a rope snake, the snake is superimposed on the rope. Okay. So the rope appears as a snake. Or when we say the crystal which has a flower very close to it, the color of the flower becomes part of the crystal, even though the crystal doesn't have a color. So these are all effects of mithya or maya.
Okay. Got you.
So those examples we give to understand what is adhyasa, what is superimposition and all that.
Right. Right.
But
Okay.
mithya is defined in these two or in a few other ways also. But for simplicity, I'm giving you two definitions.
Right.
Okay. Right. So this world is subject to space and time. So it is mithya. Okay. Now, Gurudat, you had a question.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a question. I was trying to better understand. So it's like in this shloka, they are saying that once we realize in our Jagrita state also, we continue to experience Jagrita state in a way that we look at the world or people around us like it's a puppet show.
Mm. Yeah, you can
Because,
say that, or a movie. You can
yes.
have a lot of modern examples. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. You go to a movie theater and you watch a movie, and imagine you suddenly become so involved in the movie that when the hero and the villain fight, you end up bashing somebody next to you. That's one
mm,
example of how you get so deeply involved in the movie without realizing it's a movie.
right.
Yeah. So something
Okay.
like that.
But in essence, doesn't it mean that once you become jnani,
Mm.
you you are in a position to see the rest of the world and even yourself and whatever you are doing as an object?
Yeah. True. That's
Yes,
true.
yes.
And
We
that is, you're talking about the ideal state. Really
exactly.
speaking, it is the ideal state of a jnani. That's why
Yeah,
there was a jnani in Tamil Nadu
yeah.
some 300 years or 400 years back. His name is Sadashiva Brahmendra.
Hmm.
Okay, I don't know how many of you have heard of Sadashiva Brahmendra's story. So he was a jnani and he was also a yogi of sorts, and he used to go around wherever he wants without any clothes on. Okay, so he was an avadhuta.
Yeah.
Okay, he
Hmm.
was an avadhuta, so he used to move around at his free will wherever he wants. And
Digambar.
apparently, one day he was just moving around and he entered into some house where the ladies were there.
Oh,
And then the owner of the house got wild, and then he took one what we call in Tamil aruval. I don't know what you call in other languages. Aruval is a kind of a knife.
oh.
You use it to cut very hard stuff. It has a wooden
Yes,
handle.
just to open the coconut.
Yeah, open the coconut. Yeah, and so he cut Sadashiva Brahmendra's hand.
Oh,
Okay, from the shoulder, and the hand fell off, and the blood was oozing out, pouring out. But this Sadashiva Brahmendra was not even aware that his hand was cut off, and he was just moving about normally. And then this man who cut his hand realized that this is not some ordinary person, and then he rushed behind that person along with the cut hand. He carried the hand, and then they took him to some place where they stitched it back into his body. And they were in a hurry to stitch it, so they stitched it the wrong way. So the
oh,
palm turned outside.
oh.
The palm was fixed with with the facing outside, and he continued to live in that form. That's the story I heard. And I have no other direct proof to validate this,
Yeah.
but this is a story. You go to, there's a place called Karur in Tamil Nadu, and there that samadhi is there. Sadashiva
Mm.
Brahmendra samadhi is somewhere there. And if
Ah.
you go there and ask the people, they will tell you the story. Yeah, so that what it means is there have been jnanis, there have been yogis. In Tamil, we have this word called siddhar. No, they are
Siddhar.
all highly advanced people who can leave their body somewhere and then control the body from like a remote control
Yeah,
thing or whatever. They
yeah.
had those powers.
So that is the state of Turiya, the fourth
Yeah,
state.
I won't use the word turiya because that will bring another misconception. But there are some, these are all siddhis, and not
Yeah.
everybody can acquire these siddhis, and they are not necessary also. If somebody acquires a siddhi, that's okay. But siddhis are not a prerequisite for jnanam, and
Yeah,
that's a very different topic. So
yeah,
we won't
yeah,
go there.
yeah.
So Subhashni ma'am, tell me.
Sir, just I'm comparing this equation of Sarvatmika Bhavam with Maya. Now,
Mm,
if I'm able to see everything around me is a
mm,
Maya, how am I supposed to see that I pervade in everything and everything pervades in me?
No, here,
Because the existence of me is guaranteed. So I see my existence in the things I see around, say sun or moon.
in your worldview, with whatever you
Mm.
just said now, what is the relationship between you and Maya?
Between me and Maya, I
Hmm.
exist in Maya and Maya exists in me.
You don't exist in Maya. You exist. Punkt.
Mm. Okay.
You exist, and Maya depends on you. That is why it is Maya, because Maya has no independent existence away from you.
Mm.
Because Maya is nothing but the Shakti of Paramatma.
Okay.
No, so to understand Shakti as a dependent entity, generally my guru gives this example. We all
Okay.
have
I'm
this.
getting.
We all have this speaking power. Okay,
Mm.
speaking power is what? Vak Shakti.
Mm.
Okay, now let's say I have to give this talk here, conduct this Vivek Chudamani class here, but for the same time slot I have somebody else inviting me, so I can't leave my speaking power here and go and attend that function, because my speaking power requires me physically present for the function, speaking power to function. So I
Okay.
cannot really separate my speaking power from myself, but I can keep quiet and I still exist, but my speaking power is kept at rest. So my speaking power has a dependent existence on me, but I exist independent of my speaking power, because when I don't speak, I still exist.
Yeah. Got you.
Yeah.
Mm.
So actually, there is a saying in the Western world, I think, therefore I am.
Mm. Mm.
It's a very famous statement. I think somebody called Descartes or somebody said that. I think, therefore I am. But it's actually a fallacious statement, because there are moments when you don't think. So are you saying that when you don't think, you don't exist?
Mm.
No, you exist. You
Mm.
can exist without any thinking, because when you are in deep sleep, you don't think, but you still exist. Okay, so the thinking power, the talking power, the walking power, they are all dependent on the uh, Shaktaha. We have this word Shakti and Shaktaha.
Yeah.
Shakti is
Yeah.
the
Mm.
power, Shaktaha is the one who has the power.
Mm.
Okay, so similarly, Maya is a Shakti of Brahman, and so Maya really has no existence separate from Brahman. So you can
Okay.
never say you exist in Maya, because Maya is actually dependent on you for existence.
Okay.
Yeah, does it
So,
clear your question? I mean, did I deflect your question?
um, mm, can I come back maybe at the end? I'm actually not out of the question.
Not out of the question. Okay, then we'll go to Shubuji and then come back to
Later.
you.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
sir.
Shubuji.
Because I should give opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Hmm.
I I just have a question. There is an evolvement usually in dreams, or there is a certain stage that you transform into when you are having a dream, where you, I don't know if this happens to everybody, but sometimes you have this phase of, thank God I'm not really experiencing this. It's only a dream. Maybe it is just before wakening up, or maybe it is you're on your way transcending out of the dream into
Could be. Could
yeah.
be.
And
Could be.
isn't there a correlation to how you perceive the world as just a film around you, as just a play of theater around you, when you're evolving later into life, when you become older, when you are about to leave this life, when you see things with a certain clarity, besides, of course, having a greater knowledge, isn't there a kind of a correlation between the two states when you are sort of experiencing it long enough to know this is not my reality anymore? Can one say that in this verse?
Well, I really don't know how to answer that, because if I take your statement at face value, then everybody should get this kind of what you call maturity as they grow older. Okay. if that is going to happen automatically with age, then you don't need Vedanta at all. Okay? But
Okay.
that doesn't happen. It might happen, and incidentally you may be getting older. It may be happening for other reasons. Maybe you studied some Vedanta. Maybe you got into some philosophical trip or whatever. Okay. So I will not attribute it to just growing up and getting old, because
No,
I know.
no, of course not. That's not what I meant. I did
Hmm.
mean that you have a learning process
Yeah. Correct.
also, and
Correct.
it is also a spiritual learning process.
Correct.
And I
Correct.
find there is a reference. I mean, there is a correlation between this also in the length of your dream, because if it's a very short dream, you don't actually go through this. But if it is a longer dream, you sort of, I sometimes catch myself thinking, thank God it's
Okay.
only a dream, or unfortunately this is only a dream. I wish this was reality, kind of thing, But it
Could
is usually
be. No, it may be, that you are a very special case, that you have these experiences, that even while you are in the dream, you somehow get a hint that this is just a dream and not reality. So at least I can tell for myself that I've never had that kind of an experience. Of course, I have had dreams where I was really scared, where I was really driven to tears, and then I suddenly wake up, and I still kind of shiver from that dream experience, and I hope that it won't become reality. That's happened to me. Okay, so everybody can have their own variations of how a dream affects them. That's not the point. Even this transition from dream to waking, it's called an intermediate state. In the Vedanta also we have a name for it.
okay.
Okay, there is a name for it. So that's called, I forget the name. So there is a Jagrad Avastha, there is a Swapna Avastha, there is a Sushupti Avastha, and then there are these intermediate states, between your waking and sleeping, or between your sleeping and dreaming. You have some intermediary states. So there are some specific Sanskrit words for it. I'm not able to recollect it, but our rishis have analyzed all of that. Okay, so the intermediate states are not so common like dream and sleep. Okay, some
Okay,
people
yes, of
may
course.
not have experienced these intermediate states, whereas
Mhm.
some people might have.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
right. So Subhashni
Sir,
ma'am, you yeah.
now I'm out of the doubt, sir. Thank you, sir. I rethought about what you said, and now I kind of see the Mahavakyam through this answer. So beautiful, sir. Now I can understand.
Great, wonderful.
Thank you.
So that means the discussion is over. So pratitir jiva jagatoho swapnavad bhati yavata tavan nirantaram vidwan swadhyasapanayam kuru. So yavata means until such time. Okay, until such time you are able to treat this waking world as a dream. Tavat, until such time. Nirantaram means without any let up, continuously, regularly, periodically, whatever. It's not that you sit in meditation today for 15 minutes and then 3 months later you do another 20 minutes meditation. No, not like that. Even if you do 5 minutes meditation every day, you do it regularly and consistently. That is nirantaram. Tavat nirantaram vidwan. Vidwan here is addressing the student. Hey vidwan, hey learned one, hey jnani. Swadhyasa apanayam kuru. Reduce your false identification with the body. So with this shloka, we come to the end of the 10 shlokas, where the fourth line or the fourth pada was Swadhyasapanayam Kuru. Okay, so the first shloka was a little long back. Swadhyasapanayam Kuru we saw in 270 or 271. Yeah, we saw in 270. That was the first shloka. Then there was a break. And then 277 onwards, we saw 9 shlokas, Swadhyasapanayam Kuru. And we are now done with the last of these 10 shlokas with the 285. Okay, now I think we can go to 286. Okay, right. I think we had a very great discussion, but still, if somebody wants to say something, discuss, question, I'm okay. Otherwise, we go to one more shloka. No one? Right. Great. So 286. Yeah. Nidraya
Nidraya
Raya
Lokavartayaha
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 Shabdaderapi
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 Vismritehe
Vismritehe
Tehe
Kachinnavasaram Dattva
Kacchinnavasaram
Kacchinnavasaram
dattva
Chintaya
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 Atmanam Atmani.
Atmanam
Atmanam
Atmani.
Atmani.
Okay. So Nidraya Lokavartayaha Shabdaderapi Vismritehe Kachinnavasaram Dattva Chintayatmanam Atmani. Okay, so this shloka talks about the general obstacles that will hinder a person from performing a consistent nididhyasana. So here the Acharya mentions 4 types of obstructions or 4 specific obstructions. One is nidra. Nidra is sleep. Okay. So during sleep, even that aham brahmasmi jnanam is gone. Okay. Because in sleep, your mind is completely at rest. Your mind is resolved. So all the knowledge also is resolved in the mind. So you don't have any thought in deep sleep. So even that aham brahmasmi thought is gone. So that is actually a situation where that knowledge disappears completely. But once you wake up, it comes again. That's a different story. Yeah. But during sleep, it is gone. That is one. Then loka vartayaha. So what is this loka varta? The word varta really means words. Varta is word or news, or you can have some of those meanings. Lokavarta means here all what we call small talk, gossiping. People, talking about this person, that person, and all that. So when you are too involved in talking about the worldly things, even other discussions which are not necessarily gossip, when you're trying to solve a particular problem, maybe you have some office situation, you have some family situation, we have some neighborly situations. So you're intensely trying to resolve a problem and you have to talk to a few people and get into some discussion. That is also the time when you don't really say aham brahmasmi and try to solve anything. So that is the time when the knowledge takes a back seat. Lokavartaya, you can also say most of our worldly transactions. Let us put it that way. Then Shabdaderapi. The word Shabda here means the sound as in our experience of sound. And here it means the Shabda Adi means, it means all our sense perceptions. And here the word sense perception is not just perception, but sense pleasure. So really speaking, Shabdadi means Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These are the 5, inputs that we receive through the 5 sense organs, and we use the sense organs for enjoying the sense pleasures. So the word really Shabdade Rapi means when you are too much involved in sense pleasures. That is the meaning. You're too much involved in sense pleasures. And Vismriti means forgetfulness. Vismriti is forgetfulness. Okay, so these are the 4 obstructions or obstacles. So are we then saying, is the Guru Acharya saying that we should not sleep at all? No. When he says Nidraya, it means when you are oversleeping or when you are sleeping beyond what is a healthy practice, when you are oversleeping, then that can lead to the dissipation of the knowledge. And similarly, even the worldly transaction, it is to advise some moderation. Don't get too involved in everything. You should withdraw sometimes and look at things as an object, like watching a movie or watching a play or whatever. So one has to gradually develop a certain emotional distance, even when we are, doing some regular transactions. So that mental sannyasa, my Guruji calls it as mental sannyasa. So you are not a real sannyasi with kashaya vastram and all that, but mentally you kind of develop gradually over a period, you develop a certain emotional detachment and try to deal with stuff objectively. So that is the advice for lokavartayaha. And the same for shabdaderapi, because when you are too engrossed in sense pleasures and enjoyment, then that's a very easy way to, lose your knowledge. The example we give is Vishwamitra. No, Vishwamitra went to the forest to become a Brahma Rishi because he wanted to prove Vasishta wrong. But then Menaka came into his life and he got distracted. We all know that story. So that story is basically to tell you that even somebody who's, has high level of vairagya like Vishwamitra, he gave up his kingdom. He was an emperor. He gave up his kingdom and went to the forest with so much of vairagyam, but even he could get, what do you call? He could stumble upon Menaka and lose his vairagyam. So you have to be very careful. So Shabdaderapi is a caution. Don't get too much into sense pleasure. And Vispriti, of course, is it comes out of carelessness. And in one of the earlier slokas, we saw about Tamoguna. Tamoguna 278. Tamodvabhyam Rajak Satvat. So tamogunam is what causes forgetfulness, negligence, carelessness. So one has to be vigilant and always attentive and make sure that you don't slip into tamogunam. So that is Vispriti. So you have to make sure that you are aware of all these obstacles and make sure that you avoid all these obstacles and be vigilant. So Kvachit na avasaram datva. So the word avasaram means opportunity. The word avasaram here means to give opportunity. Kvachit na avasaram datva. Kvachit avasaram na datva. So don't give even a small opening for these 4 obstacles. Always be vigilant. Okay. Chintaya atmanam atmani. So this chintaya atmanam atmani is a positive way of saying swadhyasapanayam kuru, because the swadhyasapanayam kuru is a slightly negative statement. It says you reduce your false identification. Here when you say chintaya atmanam atmani, it is a positive reinforcement. Think of yourself as your true atma, your true consciousness. The word second atmani means the mind. So sometimes the word atma is used in 2 different senses. It can cause confusion. So the first atmanam means your Sachidananda Atma, Chaitanyam. The second Atmani means your mind. Sometimes the word Atma is also used to denote the mind. In the Bhagavad Gita, again, 6th chapter, you have a shloka, Uddhared Atman Atmanam Natmanam Avasadayet Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripuratmana. There are 4 or 7 Atmas in this shloka. Uddhared Atman Atmanam Atmana Atmanam Natmanam Avasadayet Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripuratmana. 7 Atmas are there. And each Atma has a different meaning. It's a very tricky shloka in Bhagavad Gita. I think my Guru spent at least 1 full hour explaining that shloka. Okay, so the word Atma can be used in different words, in different meanings. And in this shloka, the second Atma means the mind. Okay, so in your mind, you must always anchor the thoughts about your true nature being your Chaitanyam. So that is the meaning of 286. Okay. Is that good? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Right. So if there are no questions, we can probably close for today. It's 9 o'clock, 1 minute past 9. So are we okay?
Yes.
Thanks for
Thank you
answering the
very
questions.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, most
Thank you.
welcome. As I
Thank you very
said,
much.
questions from you participants is what makes the session interesting for me also, because that gives me an assurance that people are listening and No, people are paying attention to what is being said, and it's not going above your head. So that's very important for me to know. Yeah. Otherwise, if everybody is keeping quiet, I'll wonder if, as I always say, there are two possibilities: you have understood everything, or you have understood nothing. Yeah. So thanks. So
Thank you, sir.
with that, we can close today. Yeah, we'll chant the shlokas. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Sarvesham Swastirbhavatu Sarvesham Shantirbhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarvepi Sukhinas Santu Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Just 1 minute. Can you stop the recording, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Just give me 1 second.
Okay. So I thought I'll have a word with our newcomer today. There's a lady, Sita Sriraman.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Yeah.
I know Malati well.
Oh.
I'm based in Zurich, in Luzern, in Switzerland.